Hello, everyone. We are with Ms. Katia Bassi, who is a board member of Lamborghini. She is the Chief Marketing and Communications Officer. We are talking with them because we really, really like their stuff. We have been with them several times, and it was really fun to watch them move things forward when they set up for the Urus, and they took a field, a farm field, and turned it into a factory within like a year and a half or something. It's amazing. And now we want to talk to them because they've had to do a sudden change, and now they produce things like masks and respirators, which look really cool, by the way. So we want to talk to them, and we're talking with Katia, and she will explain things to us. Hello, Katia. How are you? It looks beautiful out there.
I'm fine, thank you. Hi, everyone. Thank you, Carol, for having me.
Our pleasure, completely, always. Where are you right now?
I'm in Sant'Agata. I'm in my office because we restarted on May the 4th, fortunately. So happy to be back.
Okay, so are you in the old building or the new building?
I am in the old building, yes, in
Okay,
the old entrance founded in 1963. I'm very lucky.
so yeah. Now we were having this discussion because you came into Lamborghini a few years ago, and that was when everything was growing extremely fast. Were you involved with the run up to the Urus production facility?
I joined the company in September in 2017. Therefore, all the big things have already been done. So my colleagues made a wonderful jobs because the company moved from 80,000 to 160,000 square meters. So they made an incredible work, I have to say. But I've been lucky enough to be able to participate and be on the stage on December the 4th for the official launch of Urus, and that was the amazing thing that brought me to Lamborghini.
Oh, that's good. Now your workforce is primarily, I mean, they're all from that area, so you employ local people. How did everything? How were you affected when everything started shutting down? You're not. I mean, you're in Sant'Agata. You're not in Milan or anything. Was it different? I mean,
I was in Sant'Agata, and our CEO decided to close the company on March 14th because we realized that everybody were healthy, so no contagious affected the company. So we said, let's freeze it as it is because we are 1,800 people, so the risk was very high. I decided to stay in Modena, where I live, as a second home because my primary home is in Milan. But I decided to stay here and being able, to be in touch with the colleagues because as from the board that we had a regular catch up, a weekly catch up, to decide the next steps. Because as you know, in Italy, every now and then came out a new decree explaining the new rules. So we wanted to be absolutely up to speed. But at the same time, keep on going, and planning the future. And that's the reason why, from the marketing standpoint, we made a lot of launches, even during the lockdown, because we thought it was the right thing to do, to keep up people.
yeah, yeah. The most exciting one was the Lego, by the way.
Thank you. Yes, that
That's what.
was really something. But I want to mention also the Supreme launch in the
Yes.
middle of lockdown. And in fact, us in Supreme, we were thinking, are we doing the right thing? And then we said, let's bring some joy at this point while, people are all at home. And it was a great success. In fact, all the collection was sold out in 45 minutes.
That's good. Well, we were just discussing this because we also handle watches as part of our activity. And we were saying that while cars in the local market aren't moving, watches are moving. So I mean, there is an interest in luxury goods. So what were your first activities then after the initial lockdown? Then you started moving quickly to producing needed supplies for your environment and your
Yeah.
surroundings.
Yes, we took a commitment for the hospital in Bologna. and we decided, to support organization producing masks and producing also respirators and visors, because we believe that that was the right thing to do. I show you the mask that I have here, because of course we
Yeah,
are,
you
of course, we are still obliged to wear the mask. I'm in the office alone, and this is the only reason why I'm not wearing it. But normally, where we are,
yes.
with the broader audience, we wear the masks that we produced, and of course, we are going to support as much as we can. Still, seeing the situation that is not completely safe, I would say.
Yes. Yeah, you were actually one of the first groups that actually started making that shift over to producing the needed supplies, and it was Lamborghini who did it, and so they look awesome. So now all of us are like, okay, how do we get those masks? Because they're great. But are you still producing them right now?
We are finishing the material, the fabrics, but of course now production is almost back to normal in terms of the car production, and therefore we stopped the mask production. Also because now, fortunately, we need less masks than
Yes.
at the
Yeah.
beginning of the pandemic.
We were talking about this, and people think of Lamborghini in terms of their roaring engines and this very soulful drive. But people don't realize that there's actually a lot of leading technology that's always been involved in whatever Lamborghini does. Could you talk to us a little bit about that in terms of
Sure.
how they've been forward thinking?
Definitely. So let's say that one of the pillars of the strategy is future shapers. And the reason why we define ourselves future shapers is because we always wanted to push the boundaries since the very beginning in 1963. So with the Miura, with the Countach, with the LM002, that we can consider the father of the super luxury SUV, Urus. And therefore, everything that it's about innovation and technology is part of the Lamborghini DNA. I just want to remind that we sent smart materials with the ISS, with the astronauts, with our cooperation with NASA. But we have been working and cooperating with NASA since now 20 years. And in terms of the carbon fiber and all the related, environment about the carbon fiber, we are probably the number one in the automotive industry. So we keep on developing technology, and the cooperation also with the MIT in Boston testifies that we are a very looking forward company. That's why we support the two laboratories there.
Is that what allowed you to suddenly shift over to producing things like the respirators and so on? Because you're just used to operating at a level of technology that requires quick change?
I have to say that most of the Italian companies really made their best to do whatever was needed. Um, we have been probably facilitated by the fact that we were already in that segment, and normally we work with the Sant'Orsola Hospital, that is the hospital that I mentioned earlier, even in giving them support in developing techniques and products that could be helpful for human being. Because for us, the most important thing is not to experiment innovation just for the sake of it, but also to be helpful, to make the world a better place to live. And if you have the opportunity to do this as a company, I believe that you have to feel this responsibility. That's what we do.
That's good. So you've been around with Lamborghini for what, just under 3 years now, right? What were the surprises? What surprised you about Lamborghini that you never would have realized?
But always, when I come into the office, my surprise is to see people smiling and see people being happy to be where they are. And it is not common, I have to say,
Mhm.
especially, when you imagine a company like Lamborghini, and, I'm proud to say that it's a very cool brand, but not because we are saying it, but because the word is saying it. So maybe you imagine, an environment with kind of stiff people and people that are very much focused on cars, and that's it. But this is not the reality. So every time that I come, I'm very surprised to see the level of enthusiasm that it's around this company, and the fact that the people are so passionate about what they do, that I believe it's something really exceptional. And also, one of the things that I've been surprised is something that definitely I want to underline is the commitment of Lamborghini in terms of sustainability, because we are a CO2 neutral factory since 2015, even before the whole system started talking about
Yeah,
sustainability.
yeah.
So we have a lot of activities around the park, with the oaks, with the bees. Is definitely probably a surprise, if you don't know Lamborghini from inside.
Do you have any little challenges that you faced that kind of define how you've gone through all this? Were there any challenges you did not expect?
During the pandemic, you mean,
Well,
or
just
in
in general,
general?
in the last 3 years, with Lamborghini. I mean, you're a communications person,
Yeah.
and it's largely an engineering and technology company, and
Mhm.
sometimes the hardcore tech and engineering people don't always communicate as well their passion. So you're kind of the person who's got to take them and move them out. Have you found particular challenges in any of this, in taking the Lamborghini spirit out to the rest of the world?
So let's say that here people are very, in a way, they're very shy. And for example, the sustainability bit that is very strong has never been communicated. But just because people are not kind of show off people here, they rather prefer to do things rather than talk about things. There are some other companies that even during the pandemic they mention, I want to do this, I want to do that, I'm preparing myself to do XYZ, and at the end they didn't do anything. So we started production of masks and all the rest of the products needed from for hospitals, etc., without even saying. And then when we started and we were already in process, we said that. So I cannot say there was a challenge. I would say there was more convincing my colleagues that that was the right thing to do, that it was not a kind of show off. It was just to communicate who we really are. That's what I wanted, in terms of communication. Because I don't want people to think that here in Lamborghini we're just producing cars for very rich people. There is a kind of personal responsibility here to do the right thing always. And as I said, even before the pandemic, with the efforts that our research and development is putting, in other activities, rather than just increasing the performance of the car, it's a kind of thing that I really want to underline and communicate in a soft way again, because we are not that bold. We have car with an energetic design, with a very cool design, but the people inside the company are really very modest in a way, and they know that they're doing what they believe it should be done by a company with this kind of influence in the world.
That's funny. I don't think I've ever heard anyone say that, oh, Lamborghini, we are not bold. But you're right. It's a bold brand, it's a bold company. And one of the things that I really enjoyed learning was that it feels, it kind of doesn't feel like a big company. it feels, and people and many of the Lamborghini people have told me this. It feels like a family. It feels, they all get behind their leader. They enjoy it, and you can see that they both the leader pulls from them and they pull from the leader, and it's really a different feeling, and it's not like other companies in a lot of ways.
I have to say that you're very right. And I'm also happy when I hear customers saying this comment and saying, I've been in other companies and the welcome that I received here is not comparable to anybody because you're so, welcoming. But this is also because our CEO, Stefano Domenicali, is exactly, you get what you see.
Mm-hmm.
So he is very enthusiastic, is very committed in making, again, the right thing, but is also a very open person. So very
Yes.
reachable, very approachable. And
Completely.
therefore, I mean, us as a board, we cannot be different from him. This is the image of the company. And personally, I'm very happy to be part of this group of people, that are spreading good vibes around the world and not just, closing ourselves in a place where, nobody can be touched. I always answer to most of the requests that I receive on LinkedIn from young people asking, what's the next chapter for Lamborghini? What are you thinking about this X, Y, Z? So it's our way to be in contact with our blind lovers. That, as you know, from the social media standpoint, we are very popular. But popularity means also that you need to give contents and you need to give let's say, a right level of consistency. You have to be generous in spreading what you think the Lamborghini philosophy should be, but at the same time, you have to hear from them as well.
It's very true. Mr. Domenicali is amazingly open and very refreshing. You were talking about your office is now in the old, what is the old building? That means you're near all the old cars in the exhibit. Do you walk
Yes.
through there, and which ones are your favorites?
I have to say that I'm very passionate about the museum because the museum is under my organization. And we are very sad that we had to shut down for a long time. But, we are almost there to reopen, fortunately. I have to say that for me, the Countach is something that has always been in my dream. I mean, I'm not a car passionate, I have to say. I love projects more than products. But I remember, when my father showed me that the first time, this is a car. It's looking, how they open the doors, and I was like, oh my goodness, but is this real, or this is a model? This is just a concept. It cannot exist a car like that. And when I joined Lamborghini, the first thing that I did was to go and see the Countach in real, because I used to live in Milan, and I have to say that I never saw a Countach in Milan, for example, because the numbers were not that high. So it was always in my dream, and that's why I have a personal, let's say, relationship with the Countach, and now and then I go to see it. And now, next year we are going to celebrate the 50th anniversary. That I cannot believe that this is a car that has been named 50 years ago. It's unbelievable.
It's amazing. So, if the car in your heart is a Countach, what is it you drive around every day?
Urus, a wonderful Urus. Yeah. So I feel really completely comfortable in my skin driving my Urus that I customize with my personal taste. So I feel very lucky of this.
So what did you change for your personal Urus? What did you make it? How did you make it special?
The color, of course, it's a metal blue. And then all the interiors in cream with all the details and the stitching in blue and a lot of details in carbon fiber and a red caliper.
Okay. That sounds good. You mentioned a while ago that you were talking about, you talk to young people and they ask, what's the next chapter? So right now, what is the next chapter for Lamborghini? For short term, for the next year, half year, and then long term, what are you planning on doing?
We are planning, of course, to launch new cars that I cannot disclose right now because it has to be a surprise for all our brand lovers. But we are developing amazing cars, really incredible. I saw one yesterday and I felt really more than impressed because it's an incredible car. But nevertheless, so we keep on going in the direction that we took. So to be very open to our brand lovers, to keep on sharing contents. Research and development wise, we never stopped, and therefore you will see wonderful things in the future. And at the same time, we have to continue communicating the values of the brand and also, the current range, because Urus is a quite new car. I mean, at the end of the day, we start delivering the car September 18 in some countries, so it's less than 2 years that Urus is on the market. Mm-hmm. But the Aventador is still there, and the Huracan, both the four-wheel drive and the two-wheel drive now. We just launched it, as you know, with the Spider launch through augmented reality, with Apple. That was a great success. So the idea is to keep on going in that direction and to communicate as much as we can what Lamborghini is behind the scene, what the soul of Lamborghini is. And that's why we want to reiterate our 3 pillars of the strategy because we believe that we are informal luxuries. So we are a kind of luxurious brand, but with the touch of informality. We are future shapers because, as I said before, we push the boundaries since our foundation. And we are designer of experiences because I believe that the car itself is an experience. When you drive a Lamborghini, you cannot say that is less than an experience. But we want to also build experiences around driving the car with activities that are very much aligned with the needs of our customers. So that's what we want to be, a 360 degrees company with a high level of responsibility towards the world and our fans.
Okay. Is there any one little story you can tell people that that you think encapsulates what Lamborghini is about? Like was there anything that happened to you? Although personally, I think it's the whole Countach story. I think that nails it for you. But are there any little stories that you can tell people that can show them the soul of the company?
There's one story that I really love, and it's about two stories actually. One is related to the fact that we are supporting in Italy the Italian police, providing cars to transport organs, so they can be faster, and we are saving lives through them, and this is something that we are very proud of. And the other thing is related to one of our customers, a very young guy, 23 years old. He is a millionaire because he sold this company that we founded when he was 16, and he decided to buy a Lamborghini. But that's not, of course, the real story. The real story is that to help young guys, to become someone or to give them the enthusiasm that they needed, he said on Instagram, please send me your email and explain me your story, and I give you my Lamborghini for a weekend or for a week. It depends, to give you the enthusiasm, or come and make a ride with me. And this is something that I really love, and this is not the only customers that is doing that. I know a doctor in the U.S., in California, doing exactly the same thing for kids. To encourage them to go on in schools. If they're not very very good, the final prize is you come and you can make a ride on my Lamborghini. If at the end of the semester you have good rates, and that's what I love about our customers. And that's what I love about Lamborghini, because this is exactly the message that we want to transmit everyone.
Okay, well, that was a surprising story, but thank you very, very much. So we have been speaking with Ms.
My pleasure.
Katia, and she's spoken to us about her first experience with Lamborghini, which was talking with her father about the Countach. And we've spoken about her personal car. We've heard the stories of how they've gone through this pandemic, and we look forward to seeing what they're going to have next. Katia, thank you very, very much for your stories. Thank you very much for your ability to communicate the passion of Lamborghini. This big, loud, roaring car, but there's a soul behind it, and that soul is when we see people like Mr. Domenicali, or you, or Sylvia, or anyone, because we really do see that you take the soul of the company and you bring it outwards, and that's far more interesting. And the last story you told, which was about the people and the customers who are sharing their own personal experiences and their cars, that makes it really interesting, and it says something. It's not about exclusivity as much as it is about sharing a passion that people don't understand. So we very, very much appreciate your work. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
We hope to see you soon. We hope to see you in your new cars soon, and we hope to hear what you're talking about that you haven't told us yet.
Thank you very much, Carl, for giving me the opportunity to talk about the brand that I really love and work for. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, everyone, and thank you for joining us. Join in next time as well. Thank you.